Hello, everybody. Beautiful Saturday morning here. Sun shining and snow's melting. I wanted to talk today about attachments. And it's not something we talk about in public in general, but attachments are basically connecting to something and making it really important that you have it, or that they're in your life, or that you have what it is, etc. So something like a relationship. So we will go into a relationship with someone, we will love them, and we will create these attachments to them, and they're kind of like energetic hooks. So an energetic hook, imagine, and if you have attachments, a lot of people will find them as little pains in their body. That's the attachments that people have to you, and then attachments that you have to them. They may feel the same thing, but it's like a little energetic hook. So shamanism teaches us that we have this one point. It's a point that's 3 fingers below our belly button on our body. It's kind of, they believe, the center of our being. And that center of our being has these, what we call fibers. And we think about these fibers as like energetic, like tentacles of an octopus, but they're way finer, and we use them daily, but we're not even aware of our conscious use of them. So basically, think of them as checking into the room. Can you imagine sometime when before you went in a room, you felt that the room was hot, or there was anger going on in there, or something bad was going on? Those fibers are actually going around and feeling into the energy, feeling into where we're going, etc. Well, we can also use them to feel and connect into other people. And the ends of these fibers can be a whole bunch of different things. You could have like an arrow. Can you imagine when you energetically give someone an evil look and you're shooting arrows from your eyes or daggers from your eyes? That's these fibers. These fibers will go in and they'll kind of energetically stab people to create intent, or try and harm them, etc. Then if we have some attachment to a person, like we like them and we want them to be ours, and we're jealous that anybody else is part of it, those attachments come into that other person like a hook. They're unstated, but it's like they'll take an innocent conversation like "I love you" or "I want to be in your life" or whatever, and their mind will translate it into, "Oh, they want to be with me forever, and this is the one," and blah 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 blah, without any conscious agreement. And then we go and put these hooks into other people. They usually go into the back. I get mine in behind my heart, in my right shoulder, sometimes in my hip. And you'll feel these. They'll always be activated. They'll be like angry and just squeezing. But you've created an attachment with that other woman or other person. Mine are with women usually, so that's why I use the word women. Women might have men, for example, that same thing. But basically, those attachments are basically you holding on for dear life to that person. And this is part of the rash of the problem we have in this world, where we love outside of ourselves. We are not complete without somebody else, because we're giving all our love to them and they owe us, but we don't talk about them owing us, so we hold on for dear life through things like attachments. Now, attachments can also come in the form of gifts and things that are given supposedly freely, but they have a deeper meaning sometimes. I recently had an attachment. A woman gave me a necklace with a special figurine on the end of it. And every time that thing was near me, I felt this dark connection and this heaviness. And I never agreed to it, but a gift in our world has to be freely taken. But a lot of times these items have other meaning or attachment, or the value now makes it that you owe them, and it creates these artificial hooks that bind us and keep us from being free. And this is the wizardry, witchcraft, whatever you want to call it, of being a divine human in a human body, is we know some of these things, and women are taught a lot of these things because due to patriarchy and other things feeling they have no power, there was a lot of manipulation that went on. And this is the push pull of the whole process. um, Gifts were given, sexuality was given, expectations were made, bonds of marriage or bonds of commitment or other things all show up in our field. And I'm going to conjecture that a lot of what we're working through right now, especially in my world, I'm speaking from my experience, is that we're working through attachments. We're not sure what the attachments are, why they're there, maybe from past life, maybe from this life, but we're feeling these pulls and pains in our body and other things to try and unwind, unbind, and release ourselves. So I'm suggesting, and this is what I've been doing in my life, is to go around, look at the things that you have around you, look at stuff from past relationships, look at stuff from parents of like our children giving to us. I had an experience yesterday where a mother that I knew had given all of herself to her child, and this child has grown to be a man now, and we're smothering each other. And this is the exact experience I had, but mine was opposite. My mother was wounded and had some traumas from before I was born, and I wanted to help her so bad. I was this being of infinite light and happiness as a child, and I gave all myself to my mother. And we both agreed to it in this unconscious way, but it restricted and shifted all of it. It messed up all my ability to freely and openly love with women because I felt my mother owed me. And this isn't even a conversation we had, but it's now something that I'm free of because now I saw it, and I saw it was my mistake. It was something that I thought as an infinite being of light was the most love, but it was actually interfering with her experience. And she had stuff where she was angry towards me and manipulated and other things because she felt it, but none of us were strong enough or powerful enough or aware enough to be able to say, oh shit, we did that. And I'm clear of it now, but this exists more often than not, and especially in the direction from mother to child, because there's this responsibility given in 3D society that moms have to protect their sons and children and keep them safe from other women, or keep them safe from running out of money or getting into trouble. So a lot of times this mother bond, sometimes it can happen towards fathers towards their daughters, or even into sons of trying to protect them or over harden them. I don't know how else to call it, like to protect them, so they're really hard on them so that the world doesn't destroy them like maybe they were. So these things are happening all the time, and what I'm suggesting is now's the time to just go in, feel what's pulling at you, feel what's negative, feel who's poking the shit out of you or angry at you or said unkind things or whatever, and start to look inside yourself. Okay, what is part of our relationship? And it's going to be maybe hard to be able to look into loving someone like your child really well and strongly, and then admitting that maybe you love them too much or you gave too much of yourself to them, and they took it. They didn't even know that an imbalance was being created, but their soul knew it, and eventually they had to push you away. They had to scream and yell or say some awful things to you to get you to stop, to go and be retrospective for a little while. A lot of this is going on right now, and it's them trying to find their own boundaries, trying to find their own energetic sovereignty so that they can live and be themselves and find who they are. And a lot of times when a woman goes into a relationship with a man that's loved like this, or vice versa, a man goes into a woman's relationships where she's has this, the other woman or the other man is going to push a lot to help them relieve this, and they're going to say some awful things, and they're going to tell you to F off and other things. Go look at those things. Go dig underneath and see what part you played in that. Maybe you're holding on too much. Maybe you got to focus on self-love for a while. Maybe you got to be yourself and you got to be alone for a little while, and so that they can be alone. So these attachments are showing up all over the place. And then we're hurt by them. Like when they say those awful things, oh, I gave everything to this child, and now they're talking to me like this, or I love them so much, but you're not loving yourself. All of a sudden, this one thing that they said, or having them not completely and totally doting to you, makes you question yourself, makes you start to open wide to new possibility. So go look at these things, go dig deep, and start to feel not the victim, not a whole bunch of sorrow and grief that they're not loving me anymore, or whatever story your body wants to make up. What is in this for me? How can I release this attachment, release all these connections, release these things that have bound me and are forcing me to do things that I don't want? How can I love them? How can I see them with joy and say, okay, okay, I'm over mothering, or I'm over fathering, or I'm doting, or all these things are all part of the human experience. We went through them, and now we're being asked to unwind them and release the attachment so we can be free. But when you're attached, you're like in ropes all tying you up, and you're just like, holy frick, I have no freedom, or this isn't working out. Well, those are the attachments. So wherever you feel those things going on in your life, where it feels really uncomfortable, or it feels like you've lost your freedom or your sovereignty or whatever, there's a reason. Those things came into your life. You loved in that way. You're here to learn of loving yourself and of moving through that stuff and no longer suffering by attaching to someone else's happiness, by pleasing someone, by all those things. No, please yourself first. They'll be so happy. They will be free. They'll be able to see you. They'll be able to see that energy and sit in it and use it to propel themselves forward. So take a look at these things. They're going on. If it's hurting, if you're having struggle with a family member or a lover or relationships or your kids, these are the things we need to look at. Go deep, go be vulnerable. Sometimes you need somebody to help you to see it. And if you're lost in it, but you think this has a resonance of truth, come talk to me. Come talk to most of the people that are on this, my lives regularly, or on my Facebook page. They are all working through the same things. Some have learned that lesson already. Others are learning other lessons, and we're working together to get through this. So if you're trapped, if you're lost, if you're whatever, listen to these things. If it feels right in your heart, but you can't see it no matter how hard you try, all you need is somebody to reflect. Spend 5, 20, 10, 20 minutes talking to them, and the next thing you know, they're going to say, why are you doing that? And you're going to look at it and say, ooh, why am I doing that? Ouch, that hurts. I better not do that anymore. But sometimes we need that reflection. Sometimes we came here, we thought we could learn it all by ourselves, but sometimes we get lost in a story. We get lost in past trauma. We get lost in 1,000 lifetimes having something similar happen, and we think we're freaking cursed. Now's the time. This is the first time ever that you're guaranteed to get through, as long as you're willing to do the work and go look at it. So release your attachments. Go look at them. I can talk more about attachments all day long. There's a million different ways that we create attachments, but we're learning to release this stuff. We're learning to release the need to hold on to others. We're learning to release the need to hold on to homes and money and all these things, so we can be free and see it all in a different way. And that's the journey of attachments and releasing attachments. So I hope this makes sense. I love you all. Let the divine light shine in, and let's rock this last little bit of our ascension. Have a great day. I love you. See you soon. Thank you.